and welcome to the Big Bang Review Show. This is episode 5, part 3. And once again, we're talking about the latest Bon Jovi album here, of course, called Forever. Now, in part 1 and part 2 of this episode, we talked about my first impressions of some of the songs off this album the very first time I heard it. And I got to tell you now, what we're going to talk about today, I told you guys next time we got together and talked about Bon Jovi's Forever album, I was going to talk to you about my favorite album on the entire, my favorite song rather off the entire album. And I got to tell you guys, going back to when I very first heard the entire album in its entirety back in June, I bought this on release day, which I think was June 7th. I listened to the entire album, and my favorite song after doing so was track 8, Walls of Jericho. Now, I talked about, in part 1 and part 2 of this episode about the songs Living Proof and Legendary. But I thought about songs, and Living Proof was probably my favorite of those two tracks. I loved Legendary, but it took a little longer for me to for that song to kind of grow on me. But Legendary is one of those songs that just could not get out of my head. Now, what did I like so much about Walls of Jericho? Again, this is track 8. Okay, it reminded me of that classic Bon Jovi sound. I mean, going back to Slippery When Wet or even New Jersey. I mean, especially a song, kind of reminded me a little of Lay Your Hands Off on Me off of New Jersey. It was a great Bon Jovi. It's a great Bon Jovi anthem. I mean, it's one of those songs I could really see people, going to see the band play in concert. I could just see the crowd as the band's rocking out to this song, playing it live. Everybody's up on their feet, clapping and singing along. I mean, it's one of those great rock anthems, a great sing-along song. And again, the lyrics are just so great. I mean, it just really has that raw rock and energy. It's what's been missing, I think, from a world of rock. I mean, I can't remember the last great rock anthem that there was. It's been a number of years. So for that reason alone, I think people should really pick this album up. And Mr. John Bon Jovi himself was also recently in the news, not for this album. Now, it was reported that the band was recently in Nashville filming a music video. Now, didn't say for what song. That remains to be seen. But I tell you, I would so love for it to be Walls of Jericho, because again, it's just a great rock anthem. Takes you back to the classic Bon Jovi sound of the 80s, like again, Slippery When Wet era, New Jersey. That was the era of Bon Jovi for me, and so it just takes you back to that time, at least for me, when I first became a Bon Jovi fan. And again, I can't think of the last great rock anthem I heard. It's been a number of years. So I tell people, the 3 great tracks that we discussed so far: Legendary, Living Proof, and Walls of Jericho. My favorite. I cannot stress that enough. So I urge you all to listen to track 8, and how I would love it if they would make a music video for this song. And we got to be honest, the music industry is very different. I don't know what this album is sold, but I know it was when it first came out, it was doing great business. It's probably like the last Def Leppard studio album. There was another album went to number 1, but people quickly forgot about it. At least I can say with the Bon Jovi album, I could name a couple songs off of it, but I have heard the whole album in its entirety, and those are probably my top 3 songs off of this album. I'd say in the order, but I dig the songs. Got to be number 1 for me is Walls of Jericho. Number 2 is Living Proof, and probably the third favorite track's got to be Legendary, and that's one that took a while to kind of grow on me. But Legendary's got a great hook. All these songs do. Got that classic Bon Jovi sound. And what's interesting is there's only 3 of the original members in the band. Of course, David Bryan, drummer Tico Torres, and of course, John Bon Jovi. Richie Sambora is no longer in the band, but we got the great Phil X filling in on the guitar, and he on this album he really kind of Phil X is really kind of I think has put his stamp on the Bon Jovi sound with this album. I mean, John Bon Jovi's he's just a great songwriter. No matter who's in the band, they got Hugh McDonald, who's been with the band, for over 20 years now. So he's not an original member, but he's been with the band for many, many years, and I just can't say enough great things about this great album. Now, what's interesting is we still don't know because of Bon Jovi's, John Bon Jovi specifically vocal issues. He had the vocal surgery, and it's the recovery is, I guess, a bit of a long process. But he's been honest with the fans that he doesn't really know that if there's going to be a tour to support this album. And like we talked in the previous parts of this episode, John has gone on record telling the fans that I would love to go out and support this new album live, but I'm not going to do it unless I can do it 110%. He goes, I want my voice to have that ability where I can feel confident that I can go out there and do what I do. I don't want to be at 100%. I want to be at 110%. And so I think, I really hope for Walls of Jericho they make a music video, how great that would be. And I think if the band does play live, that's got to be one of the songs in the live set. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but it's been a number of years since there was a Bon Jovi album out that I really kind of dug. But this one, I think, is their great comeback. And at the same time, like I said, we don't know if Bon Jovi's going to hit the road. He has to wait to see if he recovers. But can you imagine? I will say this: if they're not able to tour, this may very well be the band's swan song, their final album. They put this out, and it's called Forever, of course, because it's a celebration of the band's first 40 years. And so I would say if this is Bon Jovi's swan song, their final album, I would be very sad. But at least as a Bon Jovi fan, I could say they put out one last great kick-ass album. They'll be going out on top. And let's just hope that we get a few more great music videos and singles off of this album. And so now next time we get together to do this and talk about Bon Jovi's Forever album, we're going to talk about the whole packaging. As you guys know, in the past, I have stressed that what a fan I am of, when talking about albums, I am an old school guy. I love to have something like this to hold in my hand. I love to look at the artwork. I love to see what's on the front and the back cover. I love to open it up, and look at what's inside, So I'm an old school guy. And so next time we get together to talk about this album for one last time, next time we get together, we're going to give you the final score. Now, today, again, we've been talking about my favorite song off of Forever, which is Walls of Jericho. Okay, so for that song alone and making me feel the way it does, I think that song is so kick-ass that I'm going to give that a score. That song, particularly that one song, score of 25 because it really rocked my world. Okay, and so currently, we've done 3 parts to this episode 5 of the Big Bang Review Show. And so far, the album's had a score of 75. Now, when you get together next time, we're going to talk about the whole package, the packaging of the album. And, when I look at this, what were my immediate thoughts? With seeing this album, just, the cover alone, make me go out and buy the album? Maybe not now. I did go out and buy the album, so I got it. But we're going to talk about how much of a role did this cover art play in me going out to buy the album. And so we will talk all about that, guys. And so currently, this album has a score of 75. Now, we score things up to 100. So by episode 4, when we meet again next time, talk about this album. Will the album get a total of 100? We shall see. And finally, to kind of just cap off today's part of episode 5, again, this is part 3. I want you guys to realize something. Also, Bon Jovi was recently in the news. I'm talking about John Bon Jovi specifically, where he was driving by and he noticed a woman getting ready to jump off of the Nashville Bridge. He pulled his car over, went over and talked the lady off the ledge, and he actually stopped her from jumping off the bridge. Way to go, John Bon Jovi. I mean, I see why John Bon Jovi has that Superman tattoo. I mean, man, he's a great songwriter, a great singer, and just a great overall artist. But man, what a humanitarian! I mean, to stop what he was doing to go and help this woman. I mean, I see why John Bon Jovi has that Superman tattoo. You know, he is Superman in so many ways. And John Bon Jovi, I want to thank you for recording this great kick-ass rock anthem, Walls of Jericho. Hey, what's your guys' favorite song off a new Bon Jovi album? I'd love to hear. We will be tuning in next week for part 4 of episode 5 of the Big Bang Review Show. I have been your host, Jason J. Rock Houston, and I will see you all next time. Bye for now.